Friends, just very quickly, in this 1 hour that we are going to spend, it's 11:10. So I hope to. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Take whatever. So in this 1 hour, I hope to finish. It's 11:10. I hope to finish by 12, if not 12:05. What we are going to do is just get into this subject called Vedanta, which is basically an ancient Indian philosophy, which I've spent full time studying at an ashram called Vedanta Academy. I'm not sure if all of you know, it's about 108 kilometers from Mumbai, and it was founded in 1988 by Swami Parthasarathy, who is supposed to be the world renowned authority on the subject. So, literally, Vedanta is made up of two words. Slide, go to the next one. So, these two words are Veda and Anta. And these two words are Sanskrit words. So, Veda literally means knowledge, and Anta means the end of knowledge. So, what we do is all our life, we go through our school, we go through our university, then whatever profession we get into, whatever our interests are, all the time we are learning knowledge. So, knowledge is the base for anything. Even if you want to cook, you want to drive, you want to, watch something, you need to have knowledge of how to operate that thing. So, all the knowledge of the world that we learn, it has no end. You keep learning, you keep seeking more and more and more of it. But Vedanta is that ancient knowledge which was founded thousands of years ago. It originated in the Himalayas, given by our sages, which basically is the ultimate knowledge known to mankind. So once you know the essence of Vedanta, there is nothing more to know. So it is the highest known knowledge to mankind. Unfortunately, we have lost access to that knowledge in its purest form. So Vedanta has percolated down into a lot of philosophies, almost all the religions in the world. Whichever religion you name, the master or the founder picked up some aspect of Vedanta and shared with their followers. And that became a religion. So every religion has a founder. But Vedanta has no author. It has no founder. Because it's knowledge which is based on universal facts, truths and laws. So whoever we are, wherever we are, whatever our background, it applies to you and me equally. So it's not some do's and don'ts of life. It's just facts of life, which unfortunately we should learn when we are about to, let's say, start our education, which is at the age of 8 or 9. And in the ancient days, by the time you're 16, you get all this knowledge from your guru, and then you're ready. You are ready to go into the world, you know exactly what to do, what not to do, and live a life which is successful and peaceful. Because today, I'm sure some of you may understand, you have either or. So those who are very successful are very stressed, and those who are very peaceful are very unproductive. So like in the villages, everybody is living a nice chill life, or post retirement, they say it's a aram wala life. Is Hindi okay if I is anybody uncomfortable with Hindi?
Not at all.
Huh? Okay, great. So या तो success मिलता है या तो peace मिलता है. Often success is at the cost of peace. You lose your sleep, you're on some medicines, you have high blood pressure. So Vedanta is that knowledge which gives us the formula to attain both. And this is possible. I've done a 3-year full-time program at the academy. It's a very structured program. Because आजकल क्या होता है कि philosophy, spirituality के नाम पे you just go through some Instagram reels, and you pick up some ideas. It's great, but it's not structured, it's not methodic. So what happens is we pick up some random ideas and we don't reflect enough, and then we end up applying some half-baked stuff, and then we don't see the effect, of it properly. So what this knowledge does is it takes you step by step. It helps you understand who you are, what you're made of, why you're here, what is the meaning behind your birth, and then where you are, what is this world all about, and then it gives you the ultimate path to reach what our topic for today is, up your happiness game. Ultimate path to happiness. See, this topic, whoever came up with the title, it's not a bad one because it says up your happiness game. How many of us are going through a down, of this happiness? Or how many want to take it up? Most of us want to take it up, And it's your happiness game. So it has to do with you. And happiness, we'll get into it, what it really means. But it seems to be something that all of us are looking for. Even as a child, even as an elder. Doesn't matter who you are. And game, because literally what I have observed, and I'm sure you have too, that life is like a game. If you know how to play the rules, then you win. Even in business, even in a relationship, between husband and wife, it's like a game, You know how to play the rules, you will win. I'm going to teach you some tricks, but don't apply them in your husband-wife relationship because I'll get, a backlash. But that's the way life is. You win some, you lose some. We just need to understand some facts that we can learn and apply. And then there is no end to upping your happiness game. So, to begin with, can anybody tell me that every moment, what are we trying to do? Every moment, if I say every moment, I mean every second. Every particular second, what is it exactly that we are trying to do?
Breathe, live.
Sorry?
Breathe, live.
Breathe.
Survive.
That's what your body is doing. I don't know if we are conscious about it. Yeah? Survive. Survive how?
Try to survive every minute, right?
Right. So,
Whatever, right, wrong, happiness, sadness.
Right.
Try to survive.
So the thing is that, see, one thing which we can't deny is that nobody will say, every minute, every second, I want to make a choice to be unhappy. Nobody wants to be unhappy. So every single moment we are actually chasing happiness without us knowing it. We are doing that in every way or form. So सुबह से जब हम उठते हैं, the time we get up, to whatever activities we go through, everything revolves around, what I need to be more and more satisfied. In fact, if you go to the next slide, this was the slide that I was supposed to show you. This is the place where I stay. This is the ashram, where I've studied. So next one. Yeah. So this is what our pursuit is every single moment for everyone. But then you go to the next, click the next one. Sorry. So if you see, when we say happiness, what exactly do we mean? We mean pleasure, satisfaction, fulfillment, contentment, peace, calm, bliss, joy, well-being. Whatever words you use, ultimately the bottom line is that you are trying to be more and more satisfied, more and more content, more and more happy. Knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously. That's a choice all of us are trying to make, and we are trying to make based on our own way. There is a formula which is there in the scriptures, but unfortunately, as I said, we've lost it somewhere. We don't have access to it. So we are not very conscious of how we are going about it, but we are going about it. So in fact, I would like to quote, one of the Greek philosophers, Aristotle, very renowned Greek philosophers, and he says that happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. So what this means is, हम लोग पूछते हैं कि यार, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose? Why am I born? What am I supposed to do? Even after you achieve a lot of success, or sometimes you don't get success, or there's always that doubt, there's always that question, कि why am I here? What am I supposed to do? So Mr. Aristotle answers that for us, that this is the meaning of your life, this is the purpose of your life, whether you know it or not. You may run a business, you may make whatever, best in the world, you may socialize, you may holiday, you may do whatever it is, it's nothing but for happiness. That's the bottom line, whether we get it straightforwardly or not. So ultimately, that's what we all are seeking. That's the aim. That's the end. That's the bottom line. And if you see, go to the next one. If you see, when you're happy, you would have experienced that you have a calm mind. When you're happy, you're not sad, you're not agitated. or disturbed. When you're happy, you have a calm mind. When you have a calm mind, you can think clearly. Because when you're upset, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, wife ने कुछ बोला, husband ने कुछ बोला, you can't think clearly. You get really bothered, and or a colleague or a friend. So when things are fine, when you're cool, everything is going well, you have a calm mind, you can think clearly. When you can think clearly, you can apply yourself better. That means you're more productive. You can concentrate on the task you've taken, not like our dear friend. It's okay. I actually like that. And then when you apply yourself better, you have more success. Success is basically an effect of concentration or productivity, which is a separate topic only, by the way. But in this session, I'm just going to touch upon a few things very, very, minimally in the interest of time. But there is a lot more to speak about it. When you have success, when you are productive, when you are calm, most important thing is you sleep well. So that is a very important outcome of happiness. And you have better relationships also. If there's some problem in some relationship, that means there's some issue with the happiness quotient in your life.
And I want to add there, good health. If you're happy,
Good health, exactly, most important. Physically, you're in a great shape. But uska bhi thoda debatable hai, because when you're happy, you tend to indulge in everything, So I'll come to that. So this is the significance of happiness. Now the thing is, if I were to ask you, define happiness, would anybody like to try, make an attempt and give me a definition? Because I think all of us have our own ideas, So some will say, Acha, happiness is I should be able to do my own thing, live on my own terms. I should have a day where I don't have to do anything, just lays in bed. I don't know if you say that. I should, I don't know, been on a holiday, been in my farmhouse, I don't know, whatever you like, whatever you would like to do. So it's very important to decode this word, because the whole confusion is about what does it mean. And there are no 100 definitions in the scriptures, in Vedanta, in Bhagavad Gita. It's very clear. So I want to come to that, But before that, anybody would like to take a chance and give me some idea what happiness means?
whatever happens around you as per your, expectation.
When things go well according to your expectations, that is happiness, no? Good. You're in the periphery of where I'm coming to. Any other idea? Alicia? Inner peace. वो तो फिर go to previous slide. No, इसके पीछे. You just picked up a synonym from here.
No, I didn't. Truly for me, that
Inner peace. No, you're also actually very close. Go to the next and the next one.
desires are lesser.
Yeah. Who said that? Desires are lesser.
How can that?
When one desire is fulfilled and the next doesn't come immediately, there's a pause. That period in the middle is the happiness quotient.
Very good.
I've studied it.
But you studied, that's why you're saying. You're spoiling others. Go to the next one. See, it's very clear, my friends, कि happiness is sukham in Sanskrit, in the Gita, and that means no mental disturbance. Actually, the word is no mental agitations. When I say agitations, disturbance, I mean stress, worry, anxiety, any kind of disturbance, The mood swings that we have when we feel angry, upset, irritated. This disturbance has a wide connotation. Anything that disturbs you, when that disturbance is not there, that means you are happy. So it's very interesting, this definition. It doesn't mean it is something that I need to attain. It just means I need to remove my agitations. So it's so tricky, this definition, because हम लोग को क्या लगता है कि every time we are trying to do everything, every choice we make, every relationship, business, whatever you do with your family, friends, every action of ours is directed towards कि this will make me happy, this will make me happy, this will make me happy. जैसे आपने बोला, when things go according to my way, I'm happy, right? Why you're happy when things go according to your way? Because that time you have no
Disturbance.
stress, no disturbance. Your mind is calm. मेरे को वो मिला जो मेरे को चाहिए life में, and then you're calm, you know. And then you have inner peace, like Elisha said. And this whole disturbance, it arises because of unfulfilled desires. Like our lady said here, there's no other way you will get disturbance. Behind every disturbance, there is an unfulfilled desire. That's the fact of life, whether we know it or not. Otherwise, it's not possible, you know. So what happens is when you start living like this, na, ki, I need this, you know, to be done according to, obviously according to your way. Even if it's not according to your way, somebody else's way, but it's a desire. When that desire is fulfilled, you have that pause, you are happy. When it is not fulfilled, you go through irritation, stress, you know. So सारा वो expectations के साथ हम लोग जीते हैं, and then the expectations are not fulfilled, then we are obviously disturbed. That's a fact. So desire has a very important role to play, because the problem is that that pause between the desires fulfilled is sometimes it's a very fraction of a second, because our nature, our mind is such na ki before you fulfill one desire, the next one is waiting. In fact, there is nobody I know, in fact I don't know, you know, if it is possible, but at a time any given person has thousands and thousands of desires which we don't know. Every little thing, you know, चाय एक टाइप का चाहिए, एक तरीके से उसमें होना चाहिए टेस्ट, गरम, ये वो भी नहीं हुआ तो इरिटेशन. पानी एक टाइप का चाहिए, पिल्लो एक टाइप का चाहिए, मैट्रेस एक टाइप का चाहिए, you know, how my husband or wife should speak to me when I come home, and if they have not, why, servant ऐसा चाहिए, वो तो कभी नहीं मिलेगा. If you get it, I salute you. See, he's saying servant, we want somebody help, you know, help at home. So, you know, these are like such minimal desires, but there are thousands of such desires. So, I don't know if you can imagine, like, there is literally a huge container truck that you're driving of desires. और थोड़ा थोड़ा उसमें से एक दो इधर उधर फुल हुआ ना, फिर आपको थोड़ा रिलीफ मिलता है, you are like calm, you know. And that relief is inner peace, you know. You know, when we go for these nice holidays, luxury holidays, so we forget our usual life and our usual pressures. There we go thinking कि हाँ अभी मतलब there is no stress, there is no worry, ये काम नहीं करना है, इसको नहीं देखना है, उसको नहीं देखना है. So that momentarily we go through this sukham, no mental agitations. But then again we are back to square one. So problem is कि fulfilling desires is never ending. You try fulfilling, the next 100 will be ready, if not 500. I don't know if you can calculate, but you try fulfilling one. The minute you go to a restaurant, you like it so much. After that, maybe you will be relaxed for, let's say, few days. Otherwise, you will straight away want to go, you know, another one, another one, another one. Everything is like that. Maybe some people have the control where after 1 month, but everything is like that. So I would like to quote Mr. Epicurus. All my quotes are from Greek philosophers, you know, who are born before Christ and are considered the father of Western philosophy. But you will not believe, all of them draw wisdom from Vedanta somehow. So what Epicurus is telling us is, if you want to make a man happy or a woman, this is a universal term, so women, please don't ignore this. If you want to make a man happy, add not unto his riches. Riches means wealth, possessions, whatever your wants, wishes, hopes are. Add not unto his riches, but take away from his desires. See, because if you go back to the formula, Sukham means no mental disturbance. Mental disturbance arises because of unfulfilled desires. Because ऐसा possible ही नहीं है कि आपने desire fulfill किया and you're happy for a long period of time. It just is so momentary, before you know it, the next one is there. So in that strategy, what is happening is we are always agitated. We're always missing out on happiness. which I'll come to in detail later in my talk. But that's why Epicurus tells us that take away from his desires. Now, this is easier said than done because I can drop this big line, take away from your desires. But how do you take away from your desires? Why should I take away from my desires? Desires, though, is my basically it's my existence, it's my identity. If I don't have desire, I don't know what I'll do in my life, That's how, some of us feel. In fact, most of us feel like that. That is justified. Am I not audible?
No, you're.
I am, right?
Yeah.
So then we don't need mic,
Fair.
We are okay, yeah, we are okay. Suddenly बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा आवाज़ से. So what I was trying to get to is that this takeaway from his desires has a lot of meaning to it, but practically it is, I don't know if I can use some word, it doesn't make sense,
But it's not possible to.
It's not possible. Exactly. Like our friend is saying. So what's your name again?
Hitesh.
Hitesh ji is saying it is just not possible. The Epicurus ने एक बड़ा बड़ा line देके confuse कर दिया है. But I'll come to how we can deal with it also at some point. So, friends, here, the thing is now we have to understand that happiness that we talk of, how does it manifest? How does it express itself? How do we experience it? Because, it's just such a big word. Where exactly in our personality you feel happy? Do you feel happy in this finger or in your toe? But definitely if your finger or toe is hurt, you will feel unhappy. That much I can tell you. But where exactly do you feel? थोड़ा हंस सकता है तनिष, is not so serious. So go to the next one. So see, all of us have a body, and this is something which obviously I don't have to argue much on. You can see the body, it's the physical form. It's your part of your personality, but it's your outer personality. It's like clothes. So all of us have a body, and our body consists of two things. It's very simple: perceptions and actions. So जो आपका nose, eyes, ears, skin, that touch thing, all of that is your tongue for taste. So that's part of your body. These senses are part of your body. Okay? And then you have actions. So, our hands, our legs, then, the way I'm speaking, my speech, then my organs of reproduction and excretion. So whatever is creating action, whatever I can use to create action with my body, those are my organs of action and the senses. So this is something that all of us have. And what happens here is that most of the happiness we are trying to chase in the world is at this level, at the perception level, at the action level. So in fact, I was reading that just the perfume industry alone, which is supposed to appeal to your olfactory, your sense of smell, right? Just because of that sensory organ that God has given you, the nose, and the ability to smell, just because of that perfume का जो industry है, that is worth $45 billion. So आपका your one sense organ is invaluable to, let's say, the consumer market. It's a very important thing. Though I'm just rounding it up, that your body has your perceptions and actions. One sense organ has so much value. In fact, to give you another idea, just the skincare industry alone is 5x of the perfume industry. Just because आपके पास skin है, I'm making $150 billion. And clothes, I can't even tell you. The number is going up to $1.53 trillion, So your body is very important for other people's happiness because they make money and they get happy. But the thing is that what we are trying to do is constantly indulge in our senses and trying to gain some pleasure in the world. Everything, all our eating, everything we want to see, sightseeing, whatever we want to see. In fact, in this theater, the movie and everything. It's all based on our sensory pleasures, physical pleasures. So that's our body. Then you have the next thing, the thing to remember is here that body cannot act on its own. So it's like a vehicle. It's just a structure, but it can't decide, what to eat, what not to eat, what to smell, what not to smell. After that, what we all have is what is known as manas, the Sanskrit word again from the Gita, which is the mind. So here, the mind is part of our inner personality. That's called our subtle personality, right? So what is the deal of mind is all your feelings, all your emotions, your likes, dislikes, your impulses, desires, everything is contained in this thing called mind. I don't know what the location of mind is, to be honest with you. I don't know if it is in the head or in the heart. But when you feel something, you feel from the heart, right? So often in the scriptures, mind is equated to the heart, So all our desires, we were talking about unfulfilled desires, happiness. We had synonyms for happiness, that pleasure, that calm, that inner peace, contentment, satisfaction. All of that is a feeling. And all these feelings are in the mind. All our impulses are in the mind. All our likes and dislikes. Constantly, if you analyze your life, you are just living on likes and dislikes. See, बचपन से क्या होता है कि we are all born with a certain nature. Okay, that nature is called vasanas. It's supposed to be the seed of your personality. So, what happens is, whatever nature you express, your parents start feeding that nature. So you gravitate towards certain toys, certain foods, certain types of things, sports. It's fed, constantly it's fed. By the time you're a teenager, you have very fixed likes and dislikes. This is what you want, this is what you don't want, You're very clear about that. And if you are not given, then you will rebel. Some turn very rebellious. And then when you start growing up, you carry this whole baggage of likes and dislikes and you enter the world. Whatever that is, your career, your relationships and everything. All that is because of your mind, because of the way your mind has been conditioned since you were born. First, you're born with certain desires and then you create new ones. And whatever your mind feels like, you will get your body to do. So body doesn't care, whether you wake up at 4 a.m. or 9 a.m. In fact, where I stay in the ashram, we wake up at 4 a.m. every single day. Even this morning, I've woken up at 4 a.m. My body used to hate it, in the beginning. But my body has no brain. My mind doesn't like doing that. Gradually, then I started giving it the habit that early. Gradually, my mind started saying that, the desire for exercise, for nutritious food. So it all depends on how our mind is, how our likes, dislikes are. That will propel the body. The point is, mind propels the body. Okay? अभी इसमें क्या होता है? We have a lot of emotional desires. That desire for companionship, friendship, relationship, attachment to our loved ones. All that is emotional desires. So we went through physical desires, in which all the senses, right, is what we are constantly trying to fulfill in the world. Now we come to emotional desires. Emotional desires are very khatarnak, very dangerous, because you don't know, how your mind works. Mind is thoughts, but these thoughts have no purpose or aim, no direction, dimension. It can ask for anything. It's like the child in your personality. Child can ask for anything, It may want to burgle a bank tomorrow. Not that you will, but it can even entertain that thought. It may want to take somebody's car. It may want to take somebody's partner. And then that also becomes a serious thought one day. So these are thoughts which have no direction or dimension. And the problem is that today's date, it's our mind which is governing our personality. So that, what I was telling you, $45 billion worth of perfume industry, $150 worth of, you have your, what did I say? Skincare. Or trillions dollars worth of, clothes. That means you're really listening to me. Thanks. I thought everybody's on a snooze, because of Sunday, noon time. So All of that is because your mind is blindly going after things. Whatever it likes, it picks up, indulges. Basically, indulgences are mind born. But what we need to understand is that we have another equipment within our personality, which is the third one. That's the buddhi. As the Gita says, all over Gita, this word is used called buddhi, which is very different from manas, the mind. Friends, this buddhi is not born when you're born. When you're born, the body is born. Within a few months, you start developing some feelings. You get attached to your mom, whoever takes care of you, and then, when you're almost 1 year, 1.5 year, you must have experienced your child will start saying papa, papa, mama, mama. It's full, mind taking over. Buddhi is usually born at the age of 7, 8, or 9. So you'll experience your kids, they will start questioning things, Papa, why is it like that, Why is Sunday a holiday? Why I have to eat lunch at this time? Maybe your daughter is too young now, but soon she will. She already started hybrid generation, And most of us get tired of these questions, We are like, enough, man, just stop. Let me do my things and just have your lunch, or your dinner. But that is a very important tool in our personality, which has to be encouraged. So I was telling you in the olden days, in the Gurukul system, Buddhi was something that you developed when you studied, our scriptures, through examination, through analysis, through study, through research. Intellect is also thoughts, but unlike the mind, these thoughts are not aimless or purposeless. It's basically something which is towards a particular direction. It has a particular goal. So what happens is, this is subtler than the mind. So body is gross, subtler than body is the mind which drives the body. Uske baad intellect is the subtlest equipment that can actually command, and tell your mind, nahi, you know what, 1 scoop of ice cream is enough. Or today I need to do this, not that. So all of us have the buddhi. In fact, whatever discipline we implement on ourselves is because of buddhi. But the problem is that most areas of life, if not all, mind has overpowered. Mind is governing your choices. Mind is governing your decisions. So anything, we all know that, cigarette is bad for us. Cigarette will give us a lot of problems. Still, why we're not able to stop smoking? Why? I like to smoke, 1 or 2 is fine a day. It's because of our mind. If the buddhi was strong in that area of your life, it will come in and stop and say, these are the consequences. I cannot afford to do this to myself. Because not only will I suffer, I will be a menace to others also. That's why buddhi is the most important aspect which has to be cultivated. आपकी बच्ची अभी 5 साल की है ना? So from the age of, if she's already started questioning, you should encourage it as much as possible. Unfortunately, our current education system is focused on intelligence. So, these kids learn a lot, but they just amass a lot of information. They can learn many languages. They can recite names of all plants and birds and I don't know what not. But when it comes to actually understanding how things work, analyzing, the critical thinking skills are very poor. That's where, buddhi comes in. That's where you need to apply, because our education system is memory. As much as you can memorize, you will be successful, Then we go out, we become one of the people in the herd. We just take up another job, we just make another living. If we are very successful in whatever field we are, that doesn't mean we are amazing in terms of intellect. That just means that others are so dumb that even a slightly more, person with slightly sharp thinking is becoming successful. Because the thing is, each one to his own. See, if you go through regrets and guilts, anybody here doesn't go through regrets and guilt? I salute that person. If somebody tells me, I don't go through regret and guilt at all. All of us go through some regret or guilt. Why? Because our mind is making us do things which we know are not right, then our dormant, sleeping, weak intellect will wake up and say, oh, this was not right, you know. I shouldn't have spoken this. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have been so impulsive. I shouldn't have spent so much. I shouldn't have eaten so much. Full time, I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have. It's going on all the time. And it eats up. छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में तो ठीक है, if you end up online shopping and you splurge. Relationships we end up spoiling because of this reason. We end up creating permanent damage, long-term damage because of this reason. Because the adult in us is not present when it needs to be. When it needs to tell the mind, just shut up and follow this, you know. This is the right thing to do.
Isn't that conscious?
So it is intellect.
Consciousness.
Yeah, intellect is of two types, gross and subtle. So I'm just minimally explaining because this session is very intro. But conscience is also an outcome of the intellect, but at the subtle level. So what happens is, in the world, whatever decisions you need to make, whatever you need to analyze, reflect, reason, judge, decide, that is part of your gross intellect. But you know, sometimes you just, beyond a point, after you've taken all the information, let's say you want to acquire a company or whatever, everything looks right. But something inside you tells you that, you know what, this may not be the right thing to do.
Sixth sense.
Something, that sixth sense, you know, we say. That could be your conscience, which is part of your subtle intellect. Problem is, thanks to our mind, which actually pretends like it's my friend, but actually is my enemy, because it makes me full of regret and guilt all the time. Not only is our gross intellect submerged, even our subtle intellect is submerged. So that conscience ka jo voice hai na, I'm not even able to hear. Even if I can, it's very weak. A powerful desire will hijack it. And see, conscience is that compass. You know how compass always points to the north? Anybody's used a compass? You all use a compass? Wow. So compass always points to the north. Conscience will always point to the right thing. But to be able to have access to listen to that conscience, you need to have a very clean mind, you know, not too much going on. Decluttered mind. I should have kept that as a topic. How to declutter your mind. Anyways, moving on. So, you know, friends, what happens is that whole life see, this is a fact of life. Whole life is about happiness at physical, emotional, intellectual level. इसके बाहर कुछ नहीं है. Whether we get it or not, this is what we are doing. Chasing happiness at sensory level or action, you know, some adventure, some skydiving, scuba diving, whatever we do, using our hands, legs, give us a thrill. Emotional relationships, love, care, concern. It's a human need. Intellectual, research, investigation, I don't know, PhD, any such pursuits which require you to study. Whole life is, current strategy is, this is what I'm chasing. This is what I'm doing, you know. And the problem is, in this current strategy, which we'll come to in detail, but nothing is giving me satisfaction which is lasting. The minute one sensory desire, one restaurant I've eaten, one type of thing I've done, you know, one perfume I've bought, I want the next one, I want the next one, I want the next. Even in relationship, if somebody tells me every single day I worship my partner, you know, it makes me so happy, not a moment of irritation, they need to be celebrated as Ram and Sita, I think, you know. That whoever that couple is, I'll take the picture and put it in my temple. It's not possible. Because see, Hitesh जी ने एक बहुत अच्छा बात बोला, when things go according to my way, that's the problem in every part, you know. I'm not thinking when I'm fulfilling my physical desires, oh, things should go according to my neighbor's way or some random person's way. Even in emotional desires, I'm not thinking, you know, most of the times, कि oh, what works for this person? Should I show so much affection? Should I pamper my kids so much? मुझे अच्छा लगता है इसलिए I will pamper, I'll give gifts, I'll fly them in first class, I'll take them everywhere, I'll give them hundreds of clothes. वो poor kid को पता भी नहीं है कितना चाहिए नहीं चाहिए, but he's already so like spoiled because of your emotional satisfaction. I'm not saying you do it, but I know a lot of people who do it. I've seen it, you know. A lot of kids have wardrobes with labels hanging on them because they are not bothered, you know. They stick to their char, you know, t-shirts. Mom and dad want you to wear this, do this, see this, and there's a problem with that, which I'm coming to. And intellectual. Some of us like to read novels. You know, there's a quote that says, "Don't read the times, read the eternities." See, that quote means we are all busy, you know, getting daily updates. क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में? Twitter, Instagram, some newspaper, something, some Google, you know. We are all bothered about these things. And इससे क्या हो रहा है? We are satisfying our curiosity. दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है? But we've lost that whole technique of classical living. Eternities is knowledge, is philosophy, is information that has facts and truths from which we can learn how to live. See, Vedanta basically is a manual that gives us the technique of living, the art of living, the skill of living. Because if you go to the next slide, problem is that we think we know ourselves. Everybody is very sure, I know exactly who I am, what I like, what I don't like, this is my identity, this is what I believe in, and it's very fixed, you know. Then what happens is you stay, if you stay in your room, it's fine. Minute you enter another room, forget another office or another relationship, as you start meeting people, nobody cares, you know. Everybody is like, who are you and why do I care, you know, what you are, what you like or you don't like. And then you get into conflict. Your expectations are now not met. Things don't go according to your way. This happens everywhere with everybody. Whether it's your wife, your colleagues, your helps, your friends, everywhere. So our friend Aristotle, again Greek philosopher, he tells us that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. See, what is the opposite of wisdom? Ignorance. And we feel we know, but we are actually living in a lot of ignorance. You know, we have a body which does this, we have a mind which does this, we have an intellect which does this. This is my personality. There is nothing more. There is no ninth sense. There is no, I don't know, there are a lot of other theories floating around. You know, you have some extraterrestrial powers and all that. Whoever has, great. But it is within your body, mind, and intellect. There's no fourth equipment. So the fact that we don't, even if we know how they function, how they operate, you know, and the choice is ours, how it operates. So if we don't understand basics of our personality, we are living in ignorance. Ignorance means what? Confusion, doubt. उससे क्या होता है? Stress. उससे क्या होता है? Basically, it's more and more complications in life. So that's why, friends, Vedanta is that subject. I'm not selling Vedanta because it has no author. It has no founder. It's knowledge for humanity, you know, for mankind. If we learn it, we can help ourselves live a better life, a life according to our own terms, what we want. Most of the times what we are going through, some challenges, and we get victimized by life. We think we are living life according to our own terms, making the choices I want. You know, I am so and so. I am now 35, 40. I have seen everything. Enough of, you know, the world. Now I'm going to live according to what I believe in. Most of the times we are victims to our choices because of our mind, because the intellect is not there to control. Knowledge is not there, you know, from Vedanta to tell us how to make choices. Even if you have a very strong intellect, you can still be a terrorist. You know who's a terrorist? Somebody with a very strong intellect. You know, the guy who pulled down the two towers. What an intellect that person has, because it was planned meticulously so well. I can't imagine his planning document, and whatever he must have done. Because to be able to get two airplanes into the towers and make sure they come down at the right spot, it requires a lot of planning, lot of thinking. So with a strong intellect, you can commit, all these big crimes are happening now, all these online scams, money getting, anybody who's gone through this, where money's got siphoned off your account card, you have gone through. You've not even started your life, you're just 21. Because somebody had a stronger intellect. So intellect is not enough alone. Knowledge or that wisdom of living is required, which is where Vedanta comes in. So it gives you that technique. So coming back to the way we are chasing happiness, see, the problem is that, go to the next one. Problem is that when we are chasing physical, emotional, intellectual happiness, on what basis we are chasing? Can anybody tell me that? It's a very simple question. On what basis you decide where to eat, where to shop, who to have relationship with, be friends with, which book to read? Exactly. Depending on your preferences, right?
It depends on popularity also. Where the others are going, that's where we want to go.
Which then you judge कि ये popular है.
Right?
It also depends on how much money you have in your pocket.
Exactly. Wealth is a very big determinant in your wealth. So what happens is, it's all your projection. It's your thoughts, your feelings that decide your pursuit of happiness. Basically, what happens is, whatever you do, I can't say that, this particular object or being, let's say you have a relationship with someone, or you pursue you go on a holiday, or you buy something, that particular object or being, does not have happiness inherent per se. We feel that, this one makes me happy, this thing makes me happy, this food item makes me happy. We feel that, but it's all our projection. Karela, how many people like? Wow, Deepak ji, you like Karela, is it? But I don't see many hands up. See, whoever likes Karela is because they are projecting Karela as nice. And who doesn't like Karela, they are projecting Karela as not nice,
It's a matter of cultivating.
It's a matter of cultivating. As you train, exactly. As you train.
I know people who have been brought up as vegetarians suddenly turn non-veg. Primarily because it's the done thing, considered, okay, now he drinks, now he eats non-veg. So it's again, the mind is dictating what you like and don't like.
Mind is dictating, and ultimately, see, the word is projection bias. It's very subjective. Ultimately, your thoughts and feelings, your desires, your intellect and mind decide what I want to get into or not at the physical, emotional, or intellectual level. The effect of this approach is, as we will see in the next slide, this is our current experience. Remember, we went through that sukham, which means no mental agitations, which means no disturbances. That, like one of our friends here told us, it's the gap between fulfilling two desires. Once one desire is fulfilled, then you experience something until another desire comes, That gap is fraction of a second sometimes. But because it doesn't last that much, because anything worldly will not last, because it will be temporary. So the agitations will come back. If anybody tells me every single day, you know what, I am really happy, all my desires are in control, I'm not going through any disturbance, it's not possible. Less or more, there will be disturbances. So in our current experience, we have agitations, whether we know it or not. Agitations can be in different ways and forms. Sometimes we are scrolling blindly, the phone, We are nowadays, everybody's into the phone, and we are just scrolling, because there is that constant, seeking, dissatisfaction, yearning. Mind needs to be occupied with something, because it's so subtle. We will not know what desire is not fulfilled, which is causing this action. It's so complex, the network of our desires, that we'll not know. Some people suddenly they take off, in some direction. They'll start hiking, trekking, suddenly, because some pressure is there to fulfill some desires which is not happening. So go into this direction and see if you can get happiness out of this. Anyway, so agitations, dependency. So in our relationships, constantly, if you see, I am dependent on somebody to make me happy, on my children, on my partner, on my colleagues, on my helps, whatever it is. So there is that constant dependence at the emotional level. There is that constant bondage which happens, which makes us miserable and we suffer. And the fact that we have this dissatisfaction, because anything in the world can only satisfy me temporarily. It has a shelf life. अभी कुछ अच्छा खाया, आधा घंटा, एक घंटा. अभी नई गाड़ी खरीदी, एक हफ्ता मैक्सिमम. एक हफ्ते के बाद वो 4 करोड़ की गाड़ी भी बोरिंग लगती है. And same thing, so things have a diminishing value. So what happens, friends, is that because of that, what we are experiencing.
Also go diminish.
Sorry?
Relationships
Also
go diminish. You have a good wife and you get bored after a week.
see, unless it is some divine embodiment, anything worldly will have a diminishing value. The minute you contact something, whether it's an object or a being, it will give you pleasure, certain amount of pleasure. You keep contacting again and again, like your own wife. It cannot. Nothing can give you that 100% pleasure which you got on first contact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact of life. You have one piece of chocolate cake, you have second, third. If I give you the fourth one, you will throw it on my face and walk away. It will be a torture, to eat. COVID में ऐसा हुआ था ना. I spent all my COVID in the ashram. It's a beautiful 25-acre campus, so it was all open, no masking. But I believe in COVID, when people had to stay together, when families had to stay together, husband and wife, full time with children, that created a lot of issues. A lot of issues. Why would it be, when you are full time with the people you love, shouldn't it make you more and more happy?
So you
But
need
you
space.
haven't done it in a very, very long time. Everybody is so busy in their own sphere of activity that you haven't really spent that kind of time with each other in today's day and time. And suddenly you put together, you really don't know how to.
Handle it. Too much happiness, is it? You're overwhelmed, with the company of your loved one 24/7.
By choice, by force. Everything by force.
By force.
Not by
Any,
choice.
see, take you through the next slide.
The worst part was social media. Every man was cooking, so wife used to ask them, start cooking.
Start doing some duty that I do all the time. If you see the next slide, the Bhagavad Gita calls all contact born enjoyments in the world, whether it's an ice cream, all your senses, based on all your senses, or a person, your emotional desires, or your intellectual desires, the Gita has a word for it, and it's called Dukkha Yonaya. Dukkha, we understand, is sorrow. Dukkha Yonaya is the word in the Gita for all the happiness that you can get from the world. See, I'm not trying to be pessimistic or paint a sad picture, because we are all living in the world and we are all seeking happiness in the world. It's just the way our current approach is. There it becomes this, problem. Where constantly we're trying to fulfill, desires, randomly, whatever the mind pitches up, whatever it throws, we are trying to go out there and get it. And then what happens is wombs of sorrow. What is a womb? All the mothers will know. in the womb, what is a child when it is conceived and what is a child when it is born? It goes through stages of development. Same thing with your sorrow. Anything in the world that you contact, it will give you a certain amount of happiness. After that, it starts diminishing. You get dependent on it. You can't handle its temporary nature. People change all the time. We enter into a relationship or a friendship thinking it's fixed. It's this thing. After a few months, they say you're not the same person anymore. Maybe that person changed the next day. We were so blind we couldn't see. So we continue to see that projection bias. We see what we want to see, not the way things are. One day suddenly it hits us and we're like, yeah, this is not the same person anymore. And then dissatisfaction, frustration, expectations are not met. If I give you repeatedly mangoes or cake to eat, it becomes a womb of sorrow. You can't handle it. It's disgusting, after a point. Any contact bond sense enjoyment in the world will have a diminishing value. It is temporary and it will change. Change means death as well. Especially when you lose your loved one, you're not able to handle. The other word in the Gita, in the next slide, is kamakami. Kamakami means desirer of worldly objects. All of us are kamakamis. All of us. So it says that if you are a kamakami, not to the kamakami, to the desire of worldly objects, you will attain that inner peace, which is lasting, not temporary. So this is in the context of what does a wise person choose. So anybody who is a kamakami, not a wise person, will not get happiness in the world. So the word for the person who's not wise is a colossal fool. Because you're going in the direction where you're only getting suffering, misery, agitations, or temporary pleasures, and then you get a little kick and then you move on again to the same thing. I don't know if you're able to visualize, but this pattern of living is actually enslavement, constant dependence, on everything. And when things don't go according to me, frustration, agitation, stress. There is no reason why we should be stressed. Even as a 17-year-old, there is so much stress because of study, parental pressure. There's no reason for stress. Stress, I don't know, has become very normal in our society. And if you say things like, I'm stressed, I have a lot of pressure, you're looked up to. कि हाँ ये तो बहुत कुछ कर रहा है, ये तो productive है, इसको तो promotion मिलना चाहिए, There's some people have that habit also, to show, I have too much on my plate, I can't handle this, I need to, I don't have time. I don't have time for what? For your own self, you don't have time. I don't have time is like the best line, I hear from all the people most of the time. People are not able to keep a small commitment. They give you a time to meet and they disappear. They are not in control of their own schedule and diary. Entrepreneurs, they are enslaved, they are victims of their own life. I don't see them as great, successful people. It's my opinion. But Dukkha Yonaya and Kamakami. So the scriptures, see, the Gita gives us facts of life. The knowledge in the Gita is called Vedanta, So it's nothing to do with any religion or Lord Krishna himself personifies, Godhood, an enlightened person. But what has happened is because not everybody has interpreted the essence of these scriptures, we have got preoccupied with personalities, And then we have become blind devotees of personalities, and that has become the state of religion today. But if we penetrate little more, we'll get the message out of it. So friends, given the time that we've run out of, my last section is basically happiness strategy. This looks very complicated, but it's very simple. And this is a sustainable happiness strategy. This is not one which, every single time, I'm going through agitations, I'm dependent, I'm governed by my desires. So the first thing is, as we studied, that we all have an intellect which can help us make a choice consciously. Mind is helping us make a choice unconsciously because mind is the child in you. Child can ask for anything. So the intellect has to be strengthened because then you will live a life free from guilts and regrets. मैंने ये डील क्यों किया, मैंने इसको ये क्यों बोला, मैंने ये क्यों खाया, मैंने ये क्यों देखा. Constantly that nagging voice is going on. Intellect can control the mind and help us get out of mind-led living, which spoils our happiness. How to develop the intellect? If you have a child, please encourage them to question everything and try and find, analyze and find how things work. Constant questioning, constant analyzing. At whatever stage you are, start questioning the choices you make. Start questioning where you are, what you're doing, what you're working for, what are you spending your time on, your day on, what is the bottom line of everything, What am I going to get out of it? If you say, okay, I'm going on this holiday for 5 days, 5 days I'll get some peace and everything, and then I'll be, here, please do it. Don't go on a holiday thinking that this is your passport to permanent peace. So intellect has to be cultivated to question everything and not to take anything for granted. Everything we have in our lives, we have taken for granted. Whether it's our own body, our own health, or whatever people we are working with, whatever we think we are doing, everything, everybody goes through school, everybody goes through college, everybody does a job, everybody wants to be rich, everybody wants to be successful, everybody makes a lot of money, everybody's eating in this restaurant because it's popular, everybody's going on holiday here because it's popular. Everything is, herd instinct life. Nothing is thought through. Our definition of a successful life itself is a question mark. So, intellect comes in there. At the physical level, self-control. Basically, right now the life is either too much indulgence in sensory pleasures, like all our senses, whatever we do to gratify them, no control, कुछ भी खा रहे हैं, कुछ भी shopping कर रहे हैं. You decide what is right for you and not according to your intellect and live a balanced life. Either too much indulgence or some people go to the other extreme, too much suppression. ये नहीं करना है, वो नहीं करना है. And then inside, all the desires are there. Then mastery. Mastery is at the emotional level because right now there is enslavement. Lot of dependence on our relationships to make us happy. Everybody's got the mind of their own, like we studied. You have a mind, your mind has your desires, your likes and dislikes, your preferences. Same thing is with the other person. When you can't do everything for the other person 100%, whatever their expectations are, when you can't be ideal in your relationship, on what basis are you expecting the others, to be perfect with you? So, time ho gaya kya? Wo message hai kya? Mastery at the emotional level and then higher values. See, we have to consult the scriptures because they give us the facts and truths, which help us develop the higher values. Otherwise, we are living based on Instagram reels. आज ये guru ने, ये speaker ने, ये बोला, ये बोला, ये बोला, ये बोला. Or something we've learned from our parents, who have learned from their parents, or from some wisecrack, who enters our life. I don't know. We just pick up random ideas and we try to implement them. In our ashram, we have to wake up at 4 o'clock and 4 to 6. All that we have to do is study higher values on our own and reflect, whatever the scriptures are telling us, because then that time is the most conducive time for your mind to absorb the message and that comes out in your personality. Then, if somebody is rude to you, mean to you and whatever, you're like, that's his mind, his thoughts, his feelings. I have nothing to do with it. You come to that stage very naturally. Where people say, be nice. Even if somebody is rude to you, be nice. Right now, I want to kill that person, That has to come from within, thanks to higher values. And lastly, ultimately, it's the self, the truth, the reality, which is our original nature. It's called Godhood. It's called the state of enlightenment. There are a lot of words for it. Life principle, spirit. All of us, everything is basically enlivened by this. We don't know this. We are in the state of ignorance of the self, or the truth, or the reality, which ancient enlightened sages have tried to tell us in the Upanishads, that you are not this way, what you think you are. Then if I tell you are not Hitesh, you will be like, then who am I? But being Hitesh, you will try to search, who am I? Because you know deep within that there is something more than just being Hitesh. Because of our original nature, which is permanent bliss, permanent happiness, we will keep having that thought, here and there. Ultimately, when you go there, you reach that permanent happiness. And then lastly, another Greek friend of ours, Socrates, tells us that the secret of happiness is not in seeking more. Seeking more, desiring more, wanting more, wishing more, hoping more, that's all that we are doing 24/7. It's not in that. It's in developing the capacity. Developing the capacity is discipline, effort, learning. It doesn't come naturally. What comes naturally is gravitating to whatever gives me instant pleasure. Developing the capacity to enjoy less. So there is no limit on enjoyment. Just because you have 5 cars doesn't mean you enjoy more. I could have no car and enjoy more than you. But the idea is that you can enjoy even where you are with what you have. You don't have to be in that state, if I get that, I'll be happy. And ultimately, nobody, the richest man is looking for more. Even after 4 marriages, I'm looking for my 5th wife. There are people like that in the world. I don't know if in this room. But if you are 5th, 6th, 7th, you'll still be looking. So the capacity to enjoy less. Develop the capacity to enjoy less. What gives you that capacity to enjoy less is your intellect, is the higher values, is Vedanta. Any questions? Thank you so much.